Okay, and you see the cox here from Oxford Brookes still with the hand up, hand down.
Attention! Go!
And they're off. Really aggressive. Really aggressive. Here we go. And Brookes really cleanly off, powering away. Princeton in slightly higher rate, looks like. Also nice and clean with their blade work. Sort of diverging a bit with their steering.
Super powerful start, I think, there by Oxford Brookes, as we expect. We anticipate them, the holders, they will want to go out fast, make their mark early, and then, well, they can choose what to do in the second half of the race. They'll probably go pretty hard, won't they, to the first marker. Looking beautiful shot here.
Yeah, it's a great long distance shot from here. Brookes on our left-hand side and Princeton on our right. And you can see the umpire there with the camera, just how fast that launch is going, just trying to keep up with these two 8s. You can see the amount of power it requires to push the water out. And these 8s are just going to do this for 7 minutes.
Yeah, I'm loving the shot. You can see how straight that Brookes crew is, and you can see Princeton B just correcting the course. That's expensive. Both are going further, and also the rudder is a little bit of a break. We can see umpire Richard Phelps, the chairman-elect of Henley Royal Regatta, standing at the front of that beautiful Boadicea, the umpire's launch there, looking down the course. In front of him, one of our other cameras, which will bring us some close-up shots as we get further into the race. But Brookes looking super smooth and powerful here. You can see how Princeton B are going harder and harder to try and stay on terms. And here we can see the gap.
Yeah, you can see the Princeton really are keeping their stroke rate high to try and stay back on terms. But Brookes just seem to have too much power. I mean, it's a B crew versus an A crew, which is always, you kind of assume that the B crew is going to be quicker. But in this situation, Brookes' system is so prolific. And anybody in the first crew, that's going to be a fantastically fast crew. And just there, the amount of time Brookes have now between their strokes, when the blades come out of the water and go back in, the boat travels just further than the Princeton crew.
Just looking at that barrier marker there, that's the first key marker on the course. Brookes look like they're kind of clear water ahead already at the barrier. That's about 640 odd meters down the course. And they may well have chosen to go really hard to the barrier just to kind of get a bit of a rehearsal in for a tougher race to come, and they're likely now to be sort of steadying out and starting to conserve energy. There are the faces of the Brookes crew. Lewis Nair sitting in the stroke seat, 21 years old. He won the Prince Albert Cup last year with Brookes, so real experience of going all the way through Henley Regatta there. And Brookes' program has got lots of experience of going every day at Henley.
Yeah, and the Temple Cut Challenge Cup is an event for student rowers, and this 8 here came third at International Regatta in Duisburg, behind 2 Brookes crews.
Yeah, look, you can see here for the Cox's Falls races, you can see these orange markers behind the crews right at the start. That's actually way back down to the start. When we see the Falls races, that's how the athletes are steering. They got to line up that Y shape with a pole above them, and that's what the athletes are looking back on. But right now, really what they'll be looking at is the head of the man behind, and Princeton continues to struggle a bit with their steering agent.
Yeah, they do. They seem regularly to come over onto this side back towards Oxford Brookes. Sometimes if if you're driving a car and you look towards the right, the car will drift to the right. So maybe the cox is looking at Brookes a little bit, and just naturally the boat is moving towards them. But even there, it's pretty firm acceleration. You can see they're really trying to use their bodies to accelerate the handle.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough mental approach to this one, isn't it? Because Princeton B are going to see that they're facing the reigning champions of the Temple Challenge Cup, the Brookes crew, and it's their fast A crew. So how will they have approached this to try to do the best they can to challenge?
I think the assumption was that they were probably going to struggle to win this race, and you can see off the blocks they kept their stroke rate higher, and they just tried to put themselves in the game and tried to see if they could maybe lead or just put them under pressure. But the Brookes crew here is just, and you can see just how much time and rhythm. I mean, it looks easy, doesn't it? But there's a reason why that's easy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not under pressure here, but that's a really nice fluid display. One of the things I like about the Brookes crews here is very sort of efficient. There's no additional move here.
Yeah, you can see here on the Brookes crew on the left-hand side of all the athletes, just on the rigger, there's a little screen.
What's that doing? What's that telling you?
That's giving them the power output. So, like, a bit like cyclists have a power meter with their bike computer here. On the gates, there's a device, strain gauge, and they can all see what power they're producing. And Brookes do this a lot. They train to power. The athletes know what wattage they should be producing when they're racing.
Fantastic. There was me thinking they were watching our YouTube coverage live as they go down the course, but that would be some kind of inception thing. So they're getting the power output. What would you do with that information?
Just because there's an optimal pacing. You know, if you're going to race for 7 minutes, this is the wattage you should sustain. If you go any higher, you're going to blow up too soon. Very scientific.
Very much like the cycling. So here we are riding with Princeton, Laszlo Wenkerbow, John Hyatt, to George Middleton, one of the 3 Middleton brothers racing here at Henley. His father, Tom Middleton, a British lightweight success story. Charles Miller at 4, Robert Powell at 5, Keelan Good at 6. Patrick Shaw at 7, Jelmer Benema at stroke. In the Princeton crew, we're looking at their backs now. Laney Goldrapper, the experienced cock, sitting in their stern, will be calling them on and, well, trying to help them to believe that they can still make a difference in this race. But I think Oxford Brookes have got other ideas.
Yeah, Oxford Brookes are totally in control of the situation here. And Princeton have come with a big contingent of people this year. They've got a lot of crews coming over, which is amazing to see all these American crews making the effort to come and race at this regatta. Really shows how much people want to be part of this event.
David, I've just been looking at the condition. You can see back down the course here, the flags in the distance, that sort of second phase of the course, the second quarter, a little bit of a crosswind. And we did see the Princeton crew struggling with the steering there. Seeing the flags in the middle, less movement, probably a little bit calmer there, and you can see the water's a bit flatter, the crew's having less challenge with the steering. So sometimes we underestimate that wide stretch of the middle of the river is often problematic.
I think that's right. And earlier on, before 14, it was a straight headwind, and it has turned a bit to be a crosswind. Like you said, like here, suddenly conditions look really nice coming through the enclosures, but through the middle of the course, it really was a bit more exposed.
Yeah, so it's been quite a humid day here at Henley, but we're now coming into the evening session. It's just past 5:30 here in the UK as the winds are starting to drop, I think. Princeton continue to push on. Welcome to Henley if you're watching this from the US. Many of our viewers joined during the second half of the day. We're really delighted to have you here, and so many US visiting crews here at Henley Regatta. We've got 177 overseas crews from all around the world, many from the US. As Oxford Brookes, a lovely display of control, 8 rowing, and they controlled the race really from the start. Yeah, they have. They made a really good effort to make it easy for themselves by blasting out hard, and that gave them all the space. And here they're not going to worry about Princeton, who are still attacking them as they would. They've got this race under control. So Oxford Brookes crossing the line first. They've eased off, and Princeton crossed the line just a length down, but that doesn't really tell the whole story of the race, does it? No, it's a really impressive start to the regatta for Brookes A. They're under pressure because they're the favourites, and they clinically dealt with the crew that they should beat, and they made it easy by being aggressive and respecting their opposition in the first 2 minutes.